Imagine a candidate who grew up with immense wealth, private tutors, and every imaginable social advantage. Now, watch as he confidently bypasses a long line of struggling applicants to claim a guaranteed government job simply because he holds a certificate declaring him historically disadvantaged. This arrangement is entirely legal. It is a legitimate, intended function of the world's largest affirmative action program. India's reservation system was engineered with an urgent purpose: to dismantle a rigid, centuries-old caste hierarchy. The government guaranteed seats in universities and public employment for marginalized groups to force representation where none previously existed. But over decades of implementation, a policy designed to level the playing field has inadvertently generated an inherited advantage for a newly minted elite. To understand how this happens, track a hypothetical family across 3 generations. Generation 1 lived under severe systemic oppression, denied basic human dignity, excluded from education, and trapped in extreme poverty. Then comes Generation 2. Using the newly created quotas, they escape that poverty. They secure top-tier government positions, becoming part of a successful, empowered bureaucratic class. Which brings us to Generation 3. These children are raised in wealthy households, attend elite private schools, and never experience the deprivations of their grandparents. Yet, when it comes time to enter the workforce, they apply for the exact same quota seats. They are competing directly against the truly impoverished members of their own marginalized community, people still living in rural poverty who are now being boxed out of those limited opportunities by their affluent peers. This accumulation of status over generations creates a profound tension between those who have moved up and those still waiting at the starting line. This theoretical paradox became a high-stakes legal reality here in Karnataka. A candidate from a recognized backward class applied for a state engineering job, expecting his minority quota to secure his position. The government rejected his application. The reason was entirely economic. Both of his parents were state employees, and their combined income exceeded the legal threshold for quota eligibility. The candidate fought back. He argued that his marginalized ancestry alone should guarantee his right to the quota, regardless of his parents' government salaries or social standing. The dispute escalated from a local employment grievance all the way to the Supreme Court of India. The justices were forced to answer a difficult moral question. Does the history of discrimination faced by your ancestors override your own present-day financial and social privilege? The answer arrived in the 2024 ruling, State of Punjab versus Devinder Singh. A 7-judge constitution bench confronted the realities of how affirmative action actually operates in practice. They recognized a harsh mathematical reality. When a deeply unequal group is treated as a single uniform block, the wealthiest and most educated members will naturally absorb almost all the benefits. To describe this affluent, highly educated subset, the Indian judiciary relies on a very specific legal term, the creamy layer. This document outlines the framework for that creamy layer, defining the relatively wealthier members who are no longer eligible for government-sponsored benefits. The ruling establishes that the children of high-ranking officials and high earners must be excluded from the reservation system. The ruling rests on the logic that for reservation to remain a tool of upliftment, the most successful members of a group should leave the door open for those still struggling below. This model treats social mobility as an exit point. Once a family achieves a high-tier professional position, the court suggests they move beyond the need for state-sponsored assistance. The Supreme Court explicitly stated that those who have utilized quotas to reach the higher echelons of life must voluntarily walk out of those special provisions. A child studying in an elite urban institution cannot legally or morally be equated with a child studying in an under-resourced rural school, even if they share the exact same caste ancestry. This zero-sum paradox extends far beyond India. It is a universal dilemma for any society attempting to legislate historical reparations with limited resources. At what point does a policy designed to enforce equity transform into a protective shield for a brand new elite? Affirmative action is meant to be a ladder out of the basement, but those who use it to reach the penthouse cannot be allowed to pull the ladder up with them.